This is for EDP 256. We're on the unit Behavioral and Mood Disorders. So why are challenging students challenging? These students are challenging because of their behavioral issues that in class can disrupt the classroom structure and the routine for all students and the teachers and for their own learning. They have students like this who are atypical, have different needs than their typical peers, which means they require different strategies and different teaching approaches to be effective. And those all take extra time and energy. Because rather than them being able to follow the regular general education lesson plan the teacher has, they might need to be pulled out and assessed for a need for special education where they can meet their needs more. Continuing why our challenging is because their environment is not suiting their needs, whether that is applicable in the classroom. It's why they're disruptive, because their needs are not being met of how they need to be taught or how they can retain information. And also their environment is not suiting their needs at home. You know, the desire and have a need for attention that they may not be given at home. You know, these challenging students may have challenging home environments and they're just reflecting what their frustration, their anger, what they're not getting at home. That's why they're challenging, because they have different needs than their typical peers, and it takes time and energy to figure out what the needs are and to assess and to properly, effectively educate the student and how they need to be educated. Factors that increase the emotional or behavioral disorder is genetics. Like if their parents have it, or like their grandparents or whatever, they can inherit it genetically. Also brain injury, especially when they're in the womb as a fetus, if the mother like abuses alcohol or drugs, those can cause brain injuries, which can lead to behavioral or emotional disorders. Psychosocial factors. Chronic stressful environment, also stressful events. Stressful events can be like anything about like death, like children experiencing death, don't know how to cope with death or what that means. It could be either of a parent or a close one, or something they used to see all the time. Also witnessing violence, whether in the household or just in their community, when witnessing firsthand violence or enduring violence too, and being the victim of violence or the witness. Also experiencing abuse or neglect in that category, either at home or with another person in their life, or someone that they see neglected by their parents, their guardians, or their caretaker, or one of their teachers even, or anything, or their coaches. Abuse or neglect. Family health as well, like if maybe the parent or the guardian are clinically depressed, and that affects the parents' skills to properly parent and give their time and energy to help meet the needs of their kids, of attention and time and health. And that can be very negatively impacting children and kids, and that's how they their brains kind of get rewired in a sense to respond to that, and kind of their brain is like protecting them from that lack that they need. The best practices to deal with behavioral and emotional disorders is prevention. With emphasis on early intervention in the preschool years, it's important to properly identify any of the signs correctly. And the preschool years, they don't give a lot of signs. What you're looking for in the preschool years is delayed development of missing those milestones by months or years, or not properly developing something that they should be, whether that's a teacher notices that or a pediatrician does, whether cognitively, emotionally, physically. Always identifying them with the team of educators, parents, or guardians, and school and community, especially when they get older, and being able to provide those behavior assessments and monitoring when they're in preschool, their milestones and developments. But when they get older, you can monitor their academic performance. What is it reflecting? What is it showing? Like ADHD, these people with behavioral or emotional disorders or ADHD aren't dumb or unintelligent. They just have a disorder that affects the way their brain operates, and they need different types of instruction to be able to learn to learn and be educated like their typical peers. They may have the knowledge. I mean, ADHD is, they may have the knowledge, but it has a problem in producing the knowledge and showing that. Emotional and behavioral can also be that, but also as retaining the information and not understanding is mainly more what emotional and behavior disorders are, is not be able to retain the information, not be able to take it and process it. But there's steps to recognize that and to help them cope with that. But early intervention is, and to properly identify symptoms is the way to go, because there's not a single way to treat emotional or behavioral or ADHD. No, ADHD was module 6. There's not a direct approach. There's always ways to cope, such as early intervention and finding ways and practices that can help these students learn like they deserve to. And there is medication as an option, but that's usually not encouraged to be the first. This is my notes that I wrote on my iPad. Medication is not encouraged to be the first option, especially when they're very young. And that's when educators and community and families and communities should be recognizing that. It's very important for them to, especially when they're that young, to help prevent it getting worse or developing to a worse degree where it's negatively affecting them more. But yeah, that is emotional and behavior disorders, module 7.